We're going to bring in and shift topics here to the Bucks Arena deal that a week ago we were talking about. It's out of the budget. Does that mean it's on its, in dire straits? And you have Dan Bice, our Watchdog columnist, joining us to comment on this. But Jason, first just give us the quickest rundown here. That would pass 21-10. You had Democratic support. You had pretty strong Republican support. What's next as this goes toward the Assembly?
Sure. Well, the Arena plan definitely picked up momentum yesterday as it heads out of the Senate and into the Assembly. Arguably the Senate was a tougher vote, but certainly even if you don't believe that, the proposal has a lot of momentum heading into the Assembly. Very unlikely that you're going to see it fail now. Again, it's $250 billion, $250 million in public financing, plus additional interest costs to cover half the cost of a proposed new arena for the Milwaukee Bucks and to keep it.
Some things to make note of. One, the 21 votes was much higher than people had expected. We had been counting votes saying that they needed 3 or 4 Democrats, and then they ended up getting many more people than they expected. On the Assembly side, Robin Voss has said he needs at least 15 Democrats to vote for this. First of all, most people don't believe that number. They think the number's
higher or lower?
That's a little artificially high,
okay,
because he wants to provide cover for some of his Republicans who might come under attack for this.
So any Democrat he gets beyond that, he can tell a Republican,
right,
you don't have to
each
take
time
this
he
vote.
can. But it would mean if he needs 15, that would mean almost half his caucus is going to oppose the Bucks deal. But the Democratic Party yesterday gave some cover to their members by putting out a statement endorsing the legislation, and so the Democratic Party now is on record. But there are 2 concerns going forward. So the expectation is that it's going to pass the Assembly. There will be the votes, and there will be bipartisan in its support. But there are 2 issues going forward. One, there was a major change in terms of what was going on with Milwaukee County. They now will have to come up with $4 million a year somehow to pay for this. They were going to get it through this debt collection program with the state, but that's been removed. And so Chris Abele, the Milwaukee County executive, has to figure out what to do about that. Will he, will they make cuts? Will they do some sort of debt collection themselves? Or will they come back to the legislature and ask for this authority to do this contracting with the state again? And then the second issue, which Senator Fitzgerald mentioned today, and that is, mentioned yesterday, and that is, will these outstate legislators who voted for this come under attack in 2016 for this vote? It's something that everybody has to watch.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit. So, Jason, that was one of the breakthrough points on this, was they shifted this deal with the certification of debt. Was that just some political maneuvering to give the Democrats in Madison some cover? Because as I understand it, the executive can go assign this to the state anyways.
That's partially true. The Milwaukee County executive does have some debts assigned to Milwaukee County that he can hand over to the state. But no, there was actually a substantive change to this, and that's why you saw the county executive Abele get so angry about it. In fact, most of the debt that the county is owed is controlled by the county treasurer and the clerk of courts. And so Dave Cullen, the treasurer, and John Barrett, the clerk of courts, will have to decide whether or not they want to, work with Abele in handing over most of their debts to state government. I mean, what both men have told me so far is that they're open to the idea, but they do have reservations right now. So we're going to have to see how that works out.
But there is a political angle to it. What happened was it wasn't Madison Democrats seeking cover. It's Milwaukee Democrats who didn't want to be accused of paying for the arena on the backs of poor people who owed debts to the city and to the county. And so they didn't want to be the ones saying that Milwaukee County had to do this, that this had to be the mechanism they used. They gave the option to Chris Abele, so they shifted
So the blame will go to Abele
instead of to Lena Taylor and Chris Larson, the 2 who were pushing this the most.
Well, one area we haven't talked much about is the Common Council. The city of Milwaukee has they have to do some approving of parts of this as well. Do you see any problems there?
I I don't think so. I mean, the city seems very happy. The funny thing is, throughout the negotiations, Chris Abele got a lot of praise and people were very supportive, and he stayed behind the scenes and didn't say much. And meanwhile, there was a great deal of criticism of Tom Barrett and how he wasn't taking the lead on this. But in the end, as it stands now, Tom Barrett ended up getting almost everything he wanted, including some authority to pursue some foreclosures and mortgages and other things like that. And Chris Abele is the one squawking and upset with how the deal turned out.